What's up, folks? It's Cody here, and I wanted to put together, I guess, a series of videos talking through my experiences going into Cascadia, talk about the standard Swiss round, sort of how my games went that ultimately got me into the top cut, and then I want to talk through a couple of my cut games, which I think are pretty interesting. I pulled out some key moments during the stream, and I want to talk through some like major misplays and sort of what was going through my head at certain times. I hope this video will be helpful. I've gotten some cool comments from folks on the APAC playthrough of people saying, "Wow, it's great to see a player and you're thinking through that stuff." So it's really good validation that like people are enjoying it, and I think it's kind of fun too. So I'm gonna try this out and see if this is something that folks want to see. Okay, so playing in APAC the previous weekend, I learned some interesting things. I think that Hermes is really good. The pressure that can be applied against like sports and ASA, bouncing cards to hand, really pushed me mostly away from sports. I think running so many agendas, your ice isn't that good. And I tested a couple of different like versions of sports to see if it's better in like a Hermes meta, but I wasn't too impressed. I think I got pretty lucky in the tournament with my matchups in APAC around sports, doing pretty well with like 5-1, I believe. But after observing the results and then testing a little bit more, I wasn't too keen on sports. So I wanted to mix it up on the corp side, and I really had no clue what to play. I was going to basically play CTZ's list, ASA list that he, took to third place here, which is on, Your Digital Life, and just generally good stuff. It has one Audacity, but it's not all in on the fast advance plan. And literally 2 days before the tournament, no, this was actually Friday, the night before Cascadia. I was playing on JNet smurfing, and someone played Charlie's Santa's Workshop list, and I played against Klikots, and Klikots, I think that's how you pronounce it. We played like 5 games, just rep after rep after rep, and I threw all these runners that I was testing. I was testing a Hoshiko list with Clot and Simulchip. I was testing, Sable, the like Nayum list that's running like a bunch of draw and just one deep dive with Hermes as well. And I was just getting crushed time after time again. And I hadn't really been testing this list, and I wasn't actually thinking about bringing the list because I assumed it would just get hated out. But after playing it a few times, I realized it's pretty... it's not as susceptible to hate as I had thought. And so, I agonized over my lists, and I'll talk about my runner side in a bit here. But ultimately just made an impulse decision the day of to sleeve up the outfit and played it. Friday night before the tournament, I didn't actually go out and be social and spend time because I was like stressing over this list. I jammed a bunch of games and then of this list, and then made the decision to like, all right, I'm gonna sleeve this thing up and play it. So last minute decision, totally randomly just chose to play this list, and I'll get into the games in a bit here, but it was actually the right call in the end. Runner side, like I said, it was kind of all over the place. I wanted to find a runner that could beat this outfit. I wanted to find a runner that could be fast enough against like ASA, be able to handle some assets. I knew the Sparrow Borrower, like R+ style Tag Storm would be popular. I figured like Bladderwort assets would be popular. And the hard part about all this is like, how do you also beat this list as well? So when thinking about how to beat this list, an important consideration is the ice suite. Like you end up, N'Golo ends up being really good into this ice suite because N'Golo can handle Valentau, and Trebuchet quite well, right? You just need to get N'Golo down and you can start face checking individually ice servers. Obviously double iced Trebuchet is a challenge, but yeah, hopefully you're set up by the time that's relevant. So N'Golo is really good. I was thinking about taking the Sable list. I don't think I have it up here. the Naim Sable list, and then dropping some influence and then slotting a Ngolo, which is actually what I was going to sleeve up Saturday morning. But as I was sleeving up the Sable list, I thought to myself, what am I doing? I have been playing Lat for the last year, and it's the most comfortable. I know it does well into this list. I should just play what's comfortable. I was also pretty worried because I actually had only like 5 reps with this outfit list in advance. So I didn't want to bring 2 lists that I wasn't that comfortable with. So I ended up just defaulting to just this Lat anti-cam list, and it's literally like it's the same list I've been playing for years. Like there's no new cards here, not a single one. Nope. You know, it's like the theory behind this list is that it's a race, right? It's basically Apocalypse in breaker form, right? This breaker suite can be so good once it's set up that your ice doesn't really matter anymore. And if you can get a good economic lead, then you can just out tempo, lock the remote, and hopefully win off conduit, lock, or deep dive. And like that's largely it. So adding all this extra stuff that wasn't money, draw, and potentially some like nice, one of win cons just slows you down. So I felt really comfortable with this. It can really establish a clot lock. It helps you really get set up. And once, if you do get a good econ lead, which between fermenters, all this econ, you're just guaranteed a good start every time. And that's what I basically found. In the tournament, it went 4-0. Really carried me to the cut, and I'm super happy that I brought it. I think Shaper's still here to stay. Jeff's like Arasana list is sick. I'm just so excited to try it out, and really glad that like it's doing well. I think actually I want to talk about one tech card that I already mentioned, which was Ngolo. I basically always run 46 just because that's how I roll. I went up to 47 here because I was worried about the outfit matchup. I think in order to run safely, you have to, with just Echelon, you have to have your K2CP up and like your other 2 breakers, and it's just too slow. So Ngolo is a hedge against the outfit, but not unfortunately, I never played against the outfit all weekend, which is really weird. But that happened. But I was prepared in the cut to be able to run against the outfit. Just with one Ngolo, Clot, and all the other good stuff here, I think I would have been able to pretty easily handle that matchup with this Ngolo as a tech card, which is kind of funny to think about. Parisia came in pretty clutch in some acid spam matchups, but most of the time it wasn't, my matchups weren't really heavy on the acid side. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the tournament itself. There's a couple of key rounds that I want to call out. Round 1 was against an R+. Lat was able to hand it pretty easily. I think this outfit list was actually pretty tight, but I'm pretty sure I just fast advanced the win. I think they were on, I forget the console or specific Hoshiko here. Round 3 was actually really interesting. This is where I got my first loss as the outfit playing Abraham. Abraham told me after the game, and for what it's worth, I got beat on stream here. So we can go back and watch that game. I haven't gone back and watched it. But Abraham built, and Charlie, and like most of the Seattle crew, brought this Hoshiko list that was pretty much designed to like just stomp the outfit. It was running, SMCs, good breakers that go into, it was Unity, Carmen, Corroder that, actually Cleaver, that can go into the outfit fairly well. Like Carmen and Unity are both good, efficient breakers into Trebuchet and Valentau. So sets up really quickly. It runs Clot. It's got simul chips, and just a general Hosh value engine. So it's really pretty damn good into the outfit. And, like I said, I didn't have that many reps in the outfit, but I learned something really important here. I got crushed, and I wasn't playing a remote. I was just going in all in on fast advance, and it had a kind of a clunky draw, and I just did not have a chance at all. And so in hindsight, what I learned from that whole loss is that if I ever expect clot, I should be going hard on a remote and just play jammy. It's sort of like my takeaway from that game, and it really became relevant later on. So I'm at 3-1 going into round 4, and let's see, pick up another. Yeah, okay, so Lat does Lat thing here and is able to just control the Vancouver Epiphany list, which is on like, it's a really cool list. It's the one that's running B1001. Its whole goal is to, I think it's also on a potential backup kill plan, but it's basically like install an Ares, dump a bunch of stuff on the board, and make it really hard to handle. I nabbed, ran the Ares turn 1, was able to like install, what was it, like install fermenter, dirty laundry, one of the servers, steal an Ares, install like a daily cast or something stupid like that. So I was able to just take the Ares, install a bunch of money, and just control the board the entire time. So Lat doing really well, good value econ with like the consistent card draw. Got down to Parisha and just again controlled the board. So pretty sizable win there. This was a legwork victory to seal it out, but I don't think I needed a legwork in that time. Okay, so round 5, this is the other outfit loss. Yep. Okay, so this loss was interesting. It was against Stevie on Esha, and this, it's funny. I like went up to Whiteblade afterwards. I was like, I had no business losing that game. And then I said afterwards, well, I did leave myself open for a double Chestushka to lose the game. So like, yeah, I definitely lost the game, but I think I was at like 6 points, 2 credits left after a big deal, expecting to just pull the next hospital win. But Stevie played it very well. They were able to get some points. I think they nabbed an early SDS, got a sick like HQ access for red cap, and then after the double sabotage, dropped another red cap in the bin or something like that for the win. Wasn't able to res the archive ice, and that was another one of those like good learning experiences of playing around Chestushka. I mean, I had the border control on HQ, but still like just got greedy with the big deal, totally opening myself to just an absolute blowout. And, Stevie was able to build up to that moment and take that down. So that was super cool. Also, Stevie's on this really awesome like GameNet build that was running like Cyber Sand Harvester, a bunch of really cool ice. I saw, I think round 10 it was, win against Steven Ebry on like a Hydra kill, which was like just super cool. Tough pill to swallow for Steven, of course, but it was cool to see the GameNet deck doing exactly what it was planned to do. So shout out to Stevie there. Okay, so we're talking about round 5, going on to round 6. At this point, I'm 4-2, feeling pretty bummed about my choice. Like I said, I just like randomly picked, not randomly, but the morning of picked outfit with very few reps. And at this moment, I'm actually like pretty disappointed and thinking I should have played Asa. That was sort of like where I was in my head at the time. But fortunately, Lat was carrying me, right? Lat shows up again. I take down another win. This gets me to, I think, 3-0, and I'm playing against Adam. Adam is a Bay Area like friend, no longer lives in the Bay Area. I think he moved to Vancouver, I think it was. But we're playing against each other and having a really good time. Like anytime I play against a friend, I always just like, I don't know, it feels more casual, feels more chill, and I have like way more fun. Adam and I are having, I think, a genuinely good time during this game, and he makes this misplay where he res his spin, doesn't draw the cards, takes a face down and a face up, shuffles them into R&D, and we call a judge over. You can't actually unwind that because I don't actually know what the face down is, and judge declares game loss. And at this point I have like a pretty sizable like econ and tempo lead. I've been able to lock the remote pretty well, and I just want to play the game. I'm having a good time with Adam, and he's a friend. So I declined the game lost. Wipe Eric White Blade's like, what game lost, and walks away, and we finish the game, and I end up winning. Like, I was in the process of throwing the game, taking a bunch of tags, going for a deep dive run as I like nabbed the Bologna on the first R&D run to win it. But this was a sick game, probably one of my favorites. I think just from like a pure, I don't know, good time perspective, it was great. So that puts me, what is it, 5-2 going into round 7, and get paired against Eli. So I think that's no Mun, but a Seattle person on the exact same Hoshiko list that crushed, earlier, where Abraham was playing. And going into this matchup, I assumed Clot. I assumed it was going to be the same list, and played it very differently than all the other games so far. I basically got I think I had maybe a Winchester or an Afshar on HQ, something like small on R&D. Maybe it was a Valentine, I forget exactly, but I just put all the ice on the remote. It was border control, trebuchet, and then envelopment as the inside ice. And every single agenda that I got, I just installed jammed, just install jam, install jam. And fortunately, it came down to, I think it was the first agenda. So turn 1, it was install hostile. And I think after I built the scoring remote, it was install advance, and it was an SDS. I was able to score the SDS and trash a Carmen, the first Carmen that was on the table. And this really slowed him down. So after that point, I was able to install advance I think I was able to install advance a hostile, which got me, I actually don't think it's that relevant. The point of the story here is that I adapted, right? Like, figured out that this outfit list is actually really freaking strong, and realized that like you don't need to play big deal. It's 10 influence of fine. It's like a backup game plan. Like, really, this deck should be rushing as hard as possible and just having fast advance of a backup plan, because as you're installing, you're pushing agendas, you're also forcing reses to be able to get more bad pub. So if you can sneak out five points or whatever, it's super easy to just get the last 2 points, because the runner can't get the breakers, contest the remote, and establish the clock threat. So that was one of those important learnings, and I was able to pull out a pretty like handed win here, given that like adaptation towards the play style with this outfit list. So that was an important learning, and that really took me through the rest of the 2 games. Well, actually, I think there's only one more game with the outfit that was able to keep me undefeated on the runner side, but also just like 2 losses going into last cut. So round 8 here. I think this was another. Yeah. Okay. So this is the next lat game. Playing Jalon on I think this is like the TV Atea list, pure fast advance, and this is exactly the matchup that I think lat absolutely excels at. You just establish a clout threat. The Atea fast advance list in general has kind of big expensive ice, which is exactly what the lat list excels at, just shredding ice for cheap, and having the clout threat. So once I saw that it was a fast advanced list, I just knew that I had this under control and was able to really just lock it down, legwork for an agenda, and then after I think Jalon expended a bunch of resources to be able to score a 3-2 with Clot, then I just put down Conduit and started pounding R&D. So was able to like pretty easily control that from like the shaper control style, which brought me still X2 going into round 9. So round 9, I'm on the outfit and against Gorov on Hoshiko, and this list it's a Hermes Amakua list, and again I assumed they weren't going to be on Clot, but taking the learnings from the past outfit experiences, I really opted for building again sort of a scoring remote and pushing as fast as possible. The agendas came at like literally the perfect time, and I even pushed with an install advance in SDS, knowing that they can get in. and they were able to get in through like a Valentau single iced remote, even just after like boosting their Amakua up to 6 strength and then coming in and stealing it. But at the time, there was a Num and an Amakua, and either of those two going down, I'm quite happy. They chose to get rid of Amakua, but which again opened them up to be able to get through. Like Num's critical in this matchup. So I think it was the right choice, but that hard fork was something that just put them in a tough spot. So ultimately, I was able to, I think, play this sort of remote, go fast, like jammy style, and was able to like really quickly sneak it out. This game in particular, there was a really cool line where I install advanced behind the Valentau. I think after that SDS play, I had 17 credits exactly. And there was a Hermes on the board. HQ Ice was like Winchester or something, not that relevant, but it was important enough there. But I wanted those counters. So I had, and there's this fun interaction with like this deck where like Big Deal just stares at you in the face anytime you have 17 credits, like it's just begging to be played. So Big Deal, I'm looking at it, I have 17 credits, right? And then I play Big Deal, gets the counters up to 2 on the Atlas, and then my next 2 clicks are install the ice, fetch it too big to fail, and play it, right? So now I work around Hermes, I get the Atlas with a counter, and then I'm able to just like chain out more agendas very quickly behind the remote before they can actually get set up. So another one of those like outfit matchups where you just like create a scoring remote and you just jam. So it actually ends up being pretty versatile in that way. Yeah, you can play, the no remote fast advance style that I've seen Charlie play a bunch, but you don't need to, which is actually the really cool, I think, adaptation to the play style that I learned from that like real bad beat from Man of the Moon on round 3. So that's it. The way that this worked out is that anybody on 21 points was able to ID into the cut. So these 6 people they were all at 21 points and they were able to all ID. So going into round 10, I had 2 losses and was able to just like fist bump Jeff, being like, good job into the cut. And, all 6 of these people were sitting perfectly at 22 points guaranteed in the cut, which was huge. I was like so thrilled. After my first 2 losses with the outfit, I was pretty down on the tournament in general and like really started to relax. But, Lat carried me, was able to adapt, get some really good wins, tough wins with the outfit, and was able to nab the top spot here. Also interestingly enough, I like woke up in the morning physically feeling pretty awful with like a headache and everything. So it was a long day and I was just so thrilled that I was able to pull it out and make the cut. That's like, the goal of every big tournament, but definitely really excited, super happy, had a great time playing with everybody. And yeah, was just thrilled. Okay, so let's talk about the cut. Round 1 came down to Sokka and I. Sokka was at seed, let me think. Yeah, Sokka was sitting at 3 and I was at 6. So we were getting paired at first. Obviously he takes a look at, the list that I'm on, and I think he obviously knew that I was playing basically Charlie's list card for the outfit side, and has never really played against the Lat, but I think Will ultimately chose to play Freedom because I think that the Lat list can be kind of scary if your game plan is fast advance, and I was frankly I was pretty worried about playing his corp because I think like if I can't get set up in time, Sokka just plays this like jammy remote style where you just like jam in remotes, play your seamlesses, and can sneak out agendas before I can actually threaten sort of the win there. So I was more worried about playing against his corp than I was his runner. but I could see why he chose to play runner here. He ultimately chose to play freedom into the outfit, which I think makes sense, right? It's got clot, 3 simul chips. It's got 2 Ngolos, which again are great into the matchup. And your freedom, and all of my good stuff that I want to play is like 1 or 0 cost, right? So freedom can just chew up the deck. So going into it, my game plan was to not, it was to just like, again, jam as fast and as hard as I could into the remote so that Sokka didn't have a chance to get set up, right? If there's ever a moment where he's stabilized, has breakers installed, and like, can find a clot, heaven forbid, like I'm screwed, right? The game's lost at that point. So my thinking going into it was just go as hard and as fast into the remote as possible. And fortunately, the ice suite is like really annoying. Really annoying to be able to break, envelopments. And so, so all the ice that I had on the remote, which I think was like at first just a trebuchet into an envelopment, was annoying enough, right? Like he didn't have his dumb down in time. And I was able to just sort of outpace him. I think I also got lucky with just R&D not bleeding a bunch of agendas as well. I think I also had, let's see, it was an early steal, which I think was relevant too. I had an Afshar in HQ. I think it was turn 2 or 1 or something. He like slams a Botulus on the Afshar and runs HQ and accesses an SDS. And chooses to steal the SDS, trashing the Botulus, which probably was the right call, but that slowed down his ability to get into HQ, I think, again. So yeah, I think it was some amount of luck of like me being able to like get the agendas at the right time, them not bleeding off of R&D, and that was pretty much it. So I was pretty nervous going into it, but confident at that point with the outfit list and how to play that matchup, and it really was able to execute, which is fantastic. It always feels good to be able to win that first game in the cut, because you're in such a better place to be able to like get at least closer to the you want to be in the spot where you're like obviously in the winner's final, or the winner's position in the winner's bracket. So next was a game against Jeff where everyone saw it on stream. Jeff's like obelisk can just go so fast, and he played it frankly like the same sort of strategy of how I approach the obelisk. I think he plays, or the outfit list, he approached his obelisk, which is jam in the remote, go as fast as you can. And unsurprisingly, Tucano was sick, like big time in that matchup. Really allowed him to get forward tempo, protect against incidental R&D and HQ accesses. And I don't particularly think there was like a bunch of misplays, which I'm going to get into in a little bit here. But I think I could have contested the remote maybe a little bit earlier. And yeah, I don't think I just set up as fast enough. So he was able to outpace me and take it down, which is, props to him. Okay, then I played Charlie, and Charlie was on Hoshiko and I was playing the outfit. And, this is one of those like, I think poetic games where I'm playing his list. And, when I first sat across Abraham in round 3, he was like, oh, you're playing the list, if he's like accessed, I don't know, an ice or 2, and just immediately knew which list I was playing. And I was like, well, if you can't beat him, join him, and this is one of those instances of just like, it feels kind of bad to like beat Charlie with his own list in the cut, but nothing but like respect for those guys. Just awesome people and really enjoyable overall. The game went down just like you would expect, which is like since they're on that Hoshiko list with simul chips and clot, good breakers into the ice suite. I just needed to jam, create that scoring remote, go as fast as I could. And the interesting things about as a runner playing into that style is whenever you see HQ and R&D open, there's this desire to want to poke it, right? And I think Charlie overcommitted to single accesses on HQ a few times, where like HQ is open or something, and he would run it 3 times, right? And that's it. It's hard to see whether that's wrong at the time, but I think given I was building a remote and trying to push fast, those clicks should have been spent, in my mind, like building a board state so that he can contest the remote and really lock it down. So I was able to, again, sort of outpace it and just jam into the remote, and ultimately was able to take the W down in that matchup, which again, that I think it was two wins get you at 4th place here, which also gets you the invite to Intercontinentals, which is sick. So winning there, I was thrilled. Afterwards, I was not thrilled knowing that I'd be playing CTZ for 4th and 3rd place. I was terrified of this matchup. I'm going to get into it in a minute here. I don't have it. This is already 30 minutes. Let's go. Okay, so CTZ on Asa, I know the list card for card. I helped kind of like tune it with him. Andrew and I have this like long time history of playing each other in, Bay Area and local tournaments. And I think I tend to get the one up on him, but it was really great to see him pull this victory out in the way that it did. It's such an awesome game. I was terrified of the matchup. I think Asa versus like my kind of control style lat, it can just get crushed, just absolutely blown out if I can't get set up in time. But fortunately, this game was going in a way that I was able to actually get set up, which, the game wasn't over. And I want to jump over and talk about 4 pretty key misplays that I made here. Okay, so I wrote down some timestamps, 3:03 roughly. Okay, so I want to talk about this game a bit and talk a bit about the lat list in general. So the mission of this lat list is just get your breakers down, contest as soon as possible, because once you do, you've got everything locked down. There's really not much that can really prevent you from getting to that place. This draw is actually really interesting because I found a ton of money, just like all this stuff that I would need, except an SMC. I've got a simul chip on the table, overclocks in hand, and the first second I produce an SMC, that means I have now 2 breakers on the board. And I think I also already have another SMC in hand or something like that. So, or a simul chip in hand. So I have all of the pieces in a pile of money, fermenters ticking up, right? To be able to, and Anicam came down like turn 2 or something. This was like a great start for me, but the SMCs weren't coming. So I had a hard time like actually getting my breakers up to be able to contest and threaten. So CTZ was able to get to 4 points, which is incredibly common in a lot of these types of matchups where like you let the corp get to like 4 points, and then basically they can't win the game. They can't squeeze it out. They can't fast advance. You've got the econ and breaker lead, so you can just lock down the remote and just apply pressure on centrals, and it's usually game over. So at this point, I see that there's an agenda here. I'm letting it go. And again, I'm just begging for an SMC. I smash Nuka and I draw into some more garbage. And I am just like so upset at this point, right? Like bummed that I didn't get this SMC, because otherwise the turn was going to be SMC overclock, like contest. And I was, just pretty upset. And I think that like frustration got to me here. The previous turn, CTZ like drew a bunch of cards, and then also drew a bunch of cards and then also played fully op. And so, he installed an agenda. Yeah, it had been digging a bunch, but drew a bunch of cards. So I was thinking maybe he could have drawn, more than one agenda here, which is where this legwork came off, but it was poorly timed. And I think in hindsight, I should have held on to it, because once the remote is locked, then that's where agendas will pile up, is in hand, if he's not willing to push it at that moment. So I should have waited. And that was, I think, the first misplay of the game, was like just getting too rushed here and wanting to play legwork. I even remember at this moment, I was like, ugh, fine. Like that was my sort of feeling towards that. And that was clearly a sign that it was the wrong move. So anyways, that was the first misplay. Second one came in around 314. Yeah. So the SMC came, I think, the following turn. I was able to get my breakers down. I like overclocked this remote, spent way too much on these mics. That's potentially another misplay. I should have maybe waited to run once I had K2CP up, or at least like continue that run. So that was an issue here, but I am overclocking into this remote. I've got my full rig set up. It's like pennies to run through this ice. It's only $3. I see the I see the managram, I pay the 2 clicks, and then I check out the rest of it. You know, trash this. I look at this other thing. CTZ's rusing me with just jamming stuff in the remote to keep me occupied. I leave it. I let them trash the skunk, or I trash the skunk works. And here's the misplay. I don't trash the trank. Tranquility becomes actually an enabler over the next 2 turns for him to be able to biotic out Illuminal. So this is the misplay. Being able to give him 4 credits over the next 2 turns was like the big problem here. You know, I'm sitting on 11 credits here, and I've got like a bunch of stuff in hand, I think. I actually don't remember what my hand is at this point, but trashing Trank was a big issue. I definitely should have at that moment. So that was misplay number 2. There's this other fun interaction where like 317. Yeah, 317. Okay, I run HQ, I get a Steve down. Steve's just so dope in this matchup. It comes into play later on here in a bit. Okay, I like pick up something from HQ. I think I pinhole the last thing that he just overwrote. I see that he's cheeky again, installs another wage workers. My like last click, I'm going to play sure gamble. Nope, decide to play creative. 5 cards in hand, he just gestures. Oh, I'm accessing a card here. Okay. Accesses the card, sure. Last click. Nope, don't play the sure gamble. Plays the creative. Gets the anti-cam or the lat draw past the turn. But where did I put the money? I didn't take my damn money. Plays the creative. Doesn't take the money. Pretty critical misplay number 3, which becomes relevant in a bit. Yeah, lol. Remember to take the money, folks. Okay, 28. This is the final turn here. CTZ does this thing where he draws. I think he draws here. Does a big sink. Takes 3 clicks. Installs the Ikawa, draws a card, and actually draws the Vitruvius. So at this point, I don't have that much money. I should have an extra $4. And I've got Steve in my hand, or like on the board here. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I need to run this. But the critical misplay is I didn't ask myself, how do I lose this game? How do I lose this game? If I just asked this question, I would have absolutely played my last turn differently, and this is how I lose the game. So instead, what do I think here is like, well, I need to have, you know, a click to steal a Kawa. I actually don't even know if I had that thought, because I obviously would have, if I had that thought, I would have seen Mike on the board and probably recognized that I needed to start on click 2. But I run HQ. I'm digging to see what do I want from Steve. I run HQ. I pick up. Oh, never mind. That was different. I don't know what I'm picking up there, or like why I'm looking at archives. But anyways, the turn is, we'll throw the game, but the turn is run HQ, pick up a sure gamble, play the sure gamble, run third click. CTZ reses some stuff for fun, hits Mike, I lose a click, and then I see the call when it's GG because I can't steal it. And then he can wage workers for it 3 times. He's got an audacity in hand. There's your 5 points, and he wins. Oof, tough. There's so many better plays here. I'm trying to keep a fermenter on the board because I want to protect against fast advance. He's got the audacity in hand. This could be a Mavirus. I actually didn't know what it was. It ended up being a Tranquility home grid, so it wasn't a Mavirus, but it could have been, right? I actually forget how many. He had 2 Maviruses, and I think there was one in the bin. But what this turn should have been was, I mean, click 1, run the remote is game winning because this is a Hagen 2. So it's 1, 2, 3. I've got $6. Click 1, run the remote wins the game. But more importantly, I think what it should have been is click 1, fermenter, click 2, run, click 3, run HQ, pick up 2 fermenters, click 4, put down another fermenter. Like that's a much better last turn to win the game as well. So CTZ played to his outs. I mean, I misplayed, but he like made that happen. And it's just so sick. I highly encourage you all to check out his, let's see if I can just find it real quick. Definitely look at his, go to Cascadia 3rd place, because this is just thick right up. Just an awesome dude. Like this is amazing. This game was sick. And then, right here, mic drop. Mike won the game for him. That definitely allowed him to play into that line, and I just fell right into his trap. So well freaking played. You can tell was just like so nervous. We had a fantastic game. We gave each other a big hug over here, like somewhere here. The guy is incredible. I couldn't have been more honored to like lose to such a homie like this. And that pretty much concludes it. That put me at 4th place here. CTZ then went on to just, have a sick game against Jeff. But yeah, that was it. Cascadia was incredible. I had a fantastic time. I'm thrilled with my results. I'm super excited about it. This game is just the best. It truly is. People are incredible. It's great to see it just go off so well. The venue was tight. Really no complaints. So that's that. I'm going to post my lat list at some point, I guess. Probably point them to this video where I talk about the card choices and everything. But yeah, hope everybody gets some value out of this. I, had a fantastic time. I hope everyone did. And until the next time, and best of luck to everybody in Euros. There's a good chance I can't make Intercontinentals. It's my 1-year wedding anniversary, and it starts at 3 a.m. and we have like a weekend planned away. My wife's gonna hate that. But anyways, we'll figure it out. Anyways, take care.